welcome back to week 6 of the DSR channel. And I want to talk about taunting, or I need to update on taunting. And that's because B Poncho 414, they brought to my attention that the protection fighting style was changed in 2024. Now it lasts not just against the triggering attack, it lasts the whole round. And that's frankly a game changer. So and these are the builds that I presented in the tank video. I would go back and redo these. I would rebuild all of these using the protection fighting style, the fighter, paladin, and ranger. All three of them have access to fighting styles. And I would get that and use that as my primary taunt instead of trying to take Sentinel or using Fey Touch to get the compelled duel compelled duel spell. Because the protection fighting style is now better than all of those, and it frees up your feet for something else better. Whether it's the durable feat to give yourself bonus action heals every round, or Mage Slayer to give you wisdom, intelligence, and charisma saving throw protection, things like that, or other options. Those are all better options than doing what was here. And I want to talk about all of the options you have for taunting in the game. Now, before I do that, I want to talk about threat. What is threat? And what do I mean by that, right? In video games, like especially MMOs like World of Warcraft, there is this number calculated under the covers called aggro or threat, and whoever has the highest number, that's who the monster's a target, right? Now there is no number like that in D&D, and I do not recommend trying to calculate that. But you can, in your head, have this idea of who is the biggest threat on the battlefield, how much damage are they doing, you the DM, how much damage are they doing, what other effects are they doing that's causing and inhibiting the monsters, right? And most importantly, just because you roll initiative doesn't mean you stop role playing the monsters. You should role play the monsters all the time, right? And the PCs. Everybody should be role playing during social encounters, exploration encounters, and combat. Do not stop role playing just because you started combat. Okay, and if you, the DM, are role-playing the monsters as best you can, right, trying to put yourself in their shoes, act as they would, given their intelligence and wisdom and charisma, given their knowledge of an understanding of what they're observing, given their ability to understand the language that maybe the PCs are speaking, and other factors, right? Just do the best you can and role-play those monsters as a team, trying to win as a team. And if you do that, you will be unconsciously calculating this threat factor in your head. And a lot of this works better, and frankly, combat will be more interesting. And roleplay is not just for how they make decision combats. Roleplay have them making different comments to the PCs, lamenting the damage they're taking, lamenting misses, things like have them, say verbal taunts, to the PCs, right? Keep role playing all of it, all the aspects. If you do that, combat will be more fun. Usually, that's the number one problem with combat and why it gets boring is people stop role playing. That's it right there. If you keep role playing, combat is way more fun, which frankly is the name of the game for the whole game, right? Role play all the time, and the game's more fun. Okay, let's get back to taunting. So this is a list of all the taunting features in the game. There is one honorable mention, I'll call it, the Kender species. And I didn't put them on here for two reasons. One, it's a single species, and I don't want to lock you into single species. That's counter to what I'm trying to do with this channel. What I'm trying to do is make it easier to create a build that delivers mechanically on this fantasy you've chosen for this character that you're trying to role play, right? You have this cool fantasy in your head of what this character is and what they do and how they do what they do. I just want to help you deliver on those mechanics so that it works that way. And my goal for mechanics is good enough, not optimized perfection, okay? Because I don't want to lock you into one build, right? One species, one class, and here's the feats you have to take, right? That's not fun. And, and there's only a few ways to be the most optimized. And frankly, the most optimized, the difference between most optimized and good enough isn't usually a big deal, right? What we're going for is good enough mechanics so that you can have fun and focus on role playing this character. Okay. All right. The second reason I don't want to put the Kender on here is because their taunt feature isn't great. You can only use it proficiency bonus times per day. It lasts one round if they fail their save. So you can't even rely on it. So it might be a decent backup taunt, but it is not a good main taunt for you to rely on. If that's your only form of taunting, it's not going to go well. So I'm going to leave them off the list. Uh, that brings us to the interception fighting style. First up, this is the least good one. And yeah, it uses your reaction, which means you can only use it once per round. It only works on a single attack per round. And what it does is blocks part of that damage and usually won't block all of it. So it's a small punishment. It is only going to be a minor inhibition to the enemies and only one attack, one enemy, right? So it's not a great form of taunting. The Sentinel feat. So upsides, instead of punishing them by reducing some of the damage a little bit, you're punishing them by making a full attack, which will probably do a lot more damage than the damage you would have blocked. So bigger threat. Uh, the other upside is if you hit them with an opportunity attack, you reduce their speed to 0. So it makes it harder for them to get past you. Downside, it costs your feet, which are really expensive. You get one general feat from levels 1 to 7. You don't get your second to level 8. So it's a big deal to spend your feet on this. The other downside is it's your reaction. You get one per round, and that's it. Compelled Duel spell. The upsides is that it lasts for a whole minute, unless your concentration is broken, which means it lasts for that one creature you get this, you're able to apply this to every attack it makes, right? It gives you all the right things, which the right taunting features, which is they have disadvantage to attack anyone but you. But it has a lot of downsides. First up, it uses your concentration. If they break it, you lose it. And the whole point of the spell is to encourage them to target you, which increases the chance you're going to be attacked, which increases the chance you're going to be hit, which increases the chance you're going to lose your concentration. So the spell works against itself. Uh, more downsides. If your allies attack it, spell ends automatically. If you attack anything but this target, spell ends automatically. One other upside is that it does restrict their movement. They got to stay within 30 feet of you as long as the spell lasts. So that's something that no other taunting feature does. Kind of nice. It doesn't outweigh the cons of this, and it's a saving throw. So you cast this, and maybe it doesn't work anyway. So, and frankly, your spell save DC is not going to be very high because you're probably focusing on first your primary attack ability score, and secondarily your Constitution. Um, your spell casting ability score is third in line, so it's not going to be great. So you could be a strength-based character in grapple, and if you're a regular martial and you're a tank, you want to be holding a shield, so that means you have your other hand free. You need a free hand to grapple. So already I think that's breaking a fantasy in my mind, but let's say that that's okay for you, this build you want to make, and so go ahead and do it. That means no weapon, so you're just making unarmed strikes. That reduces the damage when you deal damage to 1 plus your strength. Now, when you grapple, unless you have the grappler feat, when you hit with an unarmed strike, you have to deal damage or grapple. And if you try to do grapple, that means no damage, right? So that's reduced your threat a lot. Even after you already have them grappled and you're going to deal damage, your damage is low. It's 1 plus your strength modifier, no die roll at all. And if your strength modifier is a +4, then you're dealing 5 damage per hit. Now you still can make attacks even though you have somebody grappled because you can do headbutts and kicks and knee strikes and elbow strikes, things like that. So there's all kinds of things you can still do. You're not prevented from making unarmed strikes anymore once you have somebody grappled. You just can't grapple anyone else. So it's not great. Not a great form. Now, if you're a monk, though, monks can't wear shields anyway. And two, their AC is based on their wisdom and their dexterity. So they actually have a better AC score even than other martials who are not using a shield. They have a better AC score than those. And so their hands are free, and whether or not they're holding weapons or just have empty hands, their damage doesn't change because they use their martial arts die instead of the weapons damage and instead of unarmed strikes. So their damage remains the same. Now, if they get the grappler feat, then their damage is unaffected because they can still deal damage and grapple with the same strike. So their threat is still good. They also have the advantage of being able to double grapple, right? They can grab the same target twice and have them double grappled. Now, the effects of grapple don't stack, but you can still have 2 grapple effects on that one target, which means they have to try to break both of them, and it takes 1 action to break one. So even if they break one of them on your next turn, you just hit them again, and as soon as one of your hits lands, you grapple again. So it's kind of like a perma grapple. It's a pretty good strategy. It's good at taunting, and as long as you can survive as the monk against that one creature that you're forcing them to attack you, because monks don't have as good of survivability, that's a great way to go. Great form of taunting. Then we have the protection fighting style. This is the one that changed, that was the reason for this whole video, or why I decided to do this whole video. So You can see the highlighted portion is what they added in 2024. So previously, you would spend your reaction if somebody attacks one of your allies, and it's before the attack hits. So they just attack, and that triggers your reaction, and you would impose disadvantage. When it was just that one attack, that wasn't worth it. But the way this works now, it's that one attack and all other attack rolls against the target that you have protected, so your ally, until the start of your next turn. So it doesn't matter if other creatures start attacking them, and now the triggering creature has like multi-attack and makes 3 or 4 attacks, and other creatures attack. This works against all of them. So this is way better. This is really good. Now, it isn't going to protect if there's 2 allies with you on the front line. This only helps one of them, but it helps one per round. So the first round, they all try to attack this ally, use protection. They all have disadvantage to attack that one. The next round, they're like, oh, let's attack that ally. That round, you use it on that ally. So 1 ally per round you're protecting. This is really good. And I would, redo all those that fighter, ranger, paladin builds to use this instead. Now, since we're doing a video just on taunting, I actually want to bring in some of the subclass features and get into those, because those factor in. I didn't want to do it on the main tanking video because it was already too long, and I didn't want to bring in more variables. Right. So there are 3 subclasses that give you taunting abilities at level 3, and then there's one more at level 14. So the first one up at level 3 is the Fighter Cavalier. So you got to be a fighter base class, Cavalier subclass. The Cavalier gives you this feature called Unwavering Mark, which is essentially taunting. So whenever you hit a creature at any time with a melee attack, you mark them, and now they're taunted. As long as they remain within 5 feet of you, they have disadvantage to attack anyone but you. That 5-foot restriction is the disadvantage here. Versus other forms of taunting, and why I still gave this one an A-. But you can hit more targets, and regardless of whether it's your action or reaction. So in some ways, it's better than a protection fighting style. In some ways, it's worse because of that 5-foot restriction. There's also the additional bonus that you have a punish part of this feature too, which is if the creature that you have taunted attacks an ally, that triggers you to be able to make a special bonus action attack against that target on your next turn, which is kind of rare. Usually when there's a reaction happening, and you are reacting to this, it's just not using your reaction; it's using your future bonus action. But usually, it's using your reaction. So it's not very often you see features written this way, and this is frankly an old subclass, so I expect them to update that to change it. But for now, the way the punish works is it uses your bonus action on your next turn. You have advantage on the attack against the creature that ignored your taunt, and increases the damage by half your fighter level. So it's a pretty decent punish. You can only do that strength modifier number of times per day, but interesting punish feature. Then if you keep with the Cavalier subclass, it upgrades again at level 10. So there's actually a small upgrade at level 7, which is you can use your reaction kind of like a powered up protection or interception fighting style, actually. You can use your reaction at level 7 to impose a 1d8 penalty on the attack roll against your ally and maybe make it miss. If it still hits, then your ally has resistance against the attack's damage. So yeah, kind of an interesting punish feature on top, which is nice, but it's not like game changing. Now at level 10, things are game changing, and you upgrade from like an A- taunter to an A taunter, and that's the highlighted portion, which is hold the line. So the portion we want to focus on is the creatures provoke an opportunity attack from you when they move 5 feet or more while within your reach, regardless of whether they take the disengage action, regardless of whether they're moving away from you. Normal opportunity attacks only trigger if they move out of your reach. So they can get past you 5 feet and then move, then your opportunity attack will trigger. This triggers if they just move 5 feet regardless of which direction. So if they're right in front of you and move to the side, because they can't go diagonal past you, so they move to the side, trigger, you hit them. And if you hit them, it reduces their speed to 0, which is most of the value you'd get out of the Sentinel feat, which is why you probably don't want Sentinel if you're going to keep going with Cavalier like this. Let me just demonstrate what I mean by hold the line. So normally with Sentinel, or any opportunity attack, you have a monster right here, right? And it's not going to trigger until that monster moves beyond your reach. If you have a reach of 5, that right here is still within your reach. So they could move to the back line and attack your backline characters, backline allies, and you can do nothing about it if you're just counting on Sentinel or some sort of regular opportunity attack. But with hold the line, if this monster moves there, your hold the line just triggered because they moved 5 feet within your reach. So it triggered, and now you can hit them right there. And if you hit them, it reduces their speed to 0. So that guy can't. He would stop moving for the rest of that turn. So he's done right there. He can't get to the back line. So hold the line is a unique feature and quite good. If you, like, I think the Cavalier at high levels is the best tank in the game, but you have to get to level 10 before it really starts to feel like a better version of tanking than anything else. Next up, the Wildheart Barbarian. At level 14, they get the feature called Power of the Wilds, and there are 3 options. If you choose the Lion option, then you automatically taunt every enemy within 5 feet of you. Pretty interesting. The downside is you don't get to level 14. So if you want to be a strong tank right at level 3, this may not be the choice you want to make. But if you're playing a one-shot or for whatever reason just starting at level 14 or higher, yeah, this is a good tanking feature. Quite good. No action required. You auto-taunt everything within 5 feet of you. Next is the Armor Artificer. And so at level 3, you get this feature called Armor Model. And if you change it to the Guardian model, then you have your gauntlets of the armor turn into Thunder Gauntlets. The damage is 1d8. It's okay at level 3, but it doesn't scale. And so your damage is actually pretty low, which means your threat from damage is actually pretty low. But all you have to do is hit, and now you've automatically taunted them until the start of your next turn. And at level 5, you get extra attack, which means you could hit 2. So, well, it's just 1 twice, right? Because you got probably a shield in this hand, and you can't dual wield these anyway. It used to work in 2014. You can't dual wield these in 2024 anymore. So you might as well hold a shield because you can't dual wield or 2-weapon fight these. So you have one, you hit 2 different monsters, and you've taunted both of them. And the upside is there's no range restriction. They're taunted no matter where they go after that. So as long as you have enough movement speed to chase them down and hit some more, hit the 2 monsters again, you can keep them taunted. And even though your damage is really low, just giving disadvantage on all of their attacks against your allies, no matter who they target, pretty nice. That's still helping the party. So this one's still good. We already covered the monk, so we're going to skip that one. So we're going on to the Ancestral Guardian Barbarian. This is probably the easiest tank build to make. If you want to just be like, I'm cool with being a barbarian, and I just want to be a great tank, and you just want to like fire and forget, that's it. Barbarian, subclass Ancestral Guardian at level 3, boom, you're an amazing tank. Done. You can choose whatever feats you want. You can go, focus on your defense, whatever you like. You're an awesome tank at that point. And it's because of both of these features. But really at level 3, you have this feature called Ancestral Protectors, which is while raging, the first creature you hit on your turn, it taunts them. So now they have disadvantage to attack anyone but you. And on top of that, if they ignore that and still hit somebody, that somebody, your ally, has resistance to all of the damage. And at level 6, you can punish them further if they ignore you, by just using your reaction to block some of the damage. And if this is somebody you've taunted, and so that your ally resists that damage, well, you probably resisted the damage low enough that your Spirit Shield will block the remainder of the damage. Now your ally just took no damage. And you have reckless attack, and that works the way I explained in the taunting video. So you are an excellent tank, right? This is the easiest tank build to make. But if you want to make a super, like the best tank, right? You want to be the king or queen of taunting and tanking, Fighter Cavalier is the way to go. Now, it doesn't get all the way there to level 18, okay? At level 3, the Ancestral Guardian's better. At level 18, the Fighter Cavalier is better because you get this feature on top of all the other features I covered. And the way this one works is you get a special reaction that you can take once on every creature's turn, except yours, and you just can't use it on the same turn that you make your normal reaction. Okay, so now you can opportunity attack every creature. You're no longer restricted to 1 per round. You get 1 normal reaction per round, and you get 1 of these special reactions every creature's turn. So you could be using it on your allies if your DM allows you to make opportunity attacks against your allies. Why would you want to do that? Well, you can make an unarmed strike against an ally, but instead of dealing damage or grappling them, you shove them. So you give all of your allies a 5-foot little speed boost, boop, at the start of their turns. I don't know. Maybe that helps them. And also on every enemy's turn, you could be using this. Okay. And if there are 5 allies and 5 enemies, then you can take 10 of these special reactions because there's no limit to them. It's 1 per turn, not 1 per round. And this is where I would get a whip. If you want to just be the ultimate master or mistress of tanking and taunting, you're a cavalier with a shield and a whip. Okay, you have 3 attacks, soon to be 4 attacks per round. If you action surge, you get twice that many. And your reach is now 10, which means it's a 5x5 square on the grid where you're just like whoosh, whipping anything you want once on every creature's turn. And remember that with your level 10 feature, hold the line, they don't have to move out of your reach. If they just move 5 feet anywhere inside your reach, they could be 10 feet away and move 5 feet closer to you. Boop. They could be 15 feet away, move within your reach to 5 feet, reaction attack, hit them, and you stop them in their tracks before they could even reach you, right? And you need to keep doing that. So you could just hold this line. Talk about holding the line. 5 enemies lined up in front of you coming down this hallway that's 25 feet wide, and you could just stop every one of them. Doop, 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 doop. Hit every one of them. As long as you hit, boop, 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 boop. And you can just action surge if you miss one. Right? Action surge, I'm going to try again, get that guy. In fact, I'm going to hit him 4 times just for that. And you hit them and their speed drops to 0. They're done moving. You're the only character who could be a solo tank and literally keep every monster away from your allies. You could be the one person front line by yourself. You got 3 or 4 allies back on the back row and you're just up there on the front line by yourself. You're like, nobody can get past you. It's awesome. I want to play one of these in like a level 21 shot someday. Just be like, I'm the tank by myself. Boom, 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 boom. It would be a beautiful moment. And of course, the infamous Barbarian Reckless Attack, controversial. But if the DM is role playing the monsters, this works, okay? Because they can observe that you are being reckless and not protecting yourself in any way. So this should work. And this is an S tier taunt because it's an AoE, works against every monster. Now, it's not the safest thing to do, right? If you're evaluating this based on what's the best overall feature, I would not say that this is the best overall feature. I would say the Cavalier is still better because the Cavalier gives disadvantage to attack anyone but you, right? It doesn't reduce your defenses, it raises all of your allies' defenses. This one reduces your defenses but not your allies, and that's how it encourages everyone to attack you. So it's reckless. But as far as just taunting goes, just the taunting dimension of all that we're analyzing here, it's pretty good. It's strong. All right, thanks for watching, and I hope you join me next time as I get into more stuff.